It's like this little dirty little bass line.
I don't fucking care. Can we move on to a new segment, please?
Welcome to Just Two Fans, a sports show about sports,
Obviously.
about life,
Because sports are life.
and about just whatever the hell we feel like talking about. So, let's go.
What is up, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
I'm Jay Friedlander. That's Eli Johnson. And back again this week, Chris Burkhart.
Hi.
What's up, guys?
Oh, nothing much. What's up with you guys?
Oh, you know, living the dream.
Chris, welcome back to the show with me this time.
Yes. Like I told Jamie, I thought I was kicked off, and I'm back. It was so kind of you to allow me back on.
Never kick you off, Chris. Unless you're
I was
being
like-
a little bitch and picking Alabama when you're not supposed to pick Alabama, all right?
Hey, Alabama,
Alabama, above
David
all,
Shaw,
baby.
hitting tables. Show's just not the same without me.
It's not, Chris. It's not the same without you. We've missed you, man.
Likewise. It's this is a fun few hours of the week when I just get to say I get to sit down with my buddies. I love it.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I'm hearing that my audio is a little...
All right. While Eli figures out his audio, let's start talking about sports. We can't get this right, dude. I don't know what.
It cracks me up.
Someday we will figure this out. Maybe. Cameron just said you were cackling or something. Crackling. Guess this isn't the week. Yeah, it's definitely not the week. We'll figure it out someday. It'll happen, maybe. Let's start, Chris, since you're the only one I can talk to.
Let's do it.
Did you watch the Japanese Grand Prix Saturday night?
Yeah, I caught parts of it. I missed the first 15 laps, which apparently was the most intense if
It
were
was
rooting
intense.
if you're rooting against Checo. But yeah, I did catch the Grand Prix.
What'd you think? Because I have some thoughts.
Well, I think you have thoughts, and that yours are probably more informed than mine. I mean, but I do think it played out exactly how we thought, right? A wide open track where you can just put the gas pedal
I think
all the
I'm
way
back.
down. Yeah, Max Verstappen's going to win. So that one played out. I think for me, interestingly enough, I obviously all the seats are picked, but what's going on with Mercedes? There's a little bit of tension there, obviously, but like Hamilton wanted the moves to happen sooner. Russell didn't want to. He wanted to try to hold off the Ferraris for as long as he could, even though his tires were shot and he had no pace. But that's interesting. And obviously, in a track like this, my last thought before we get to the true experts is, holy crap, the work that McLaren has done in a year's time to make the
Not
they
even
got
a
pace,
year's
man.
time.
Like 5 races.
True. Really, but it's unreal the pace those things have. If they can continue to build that, they got 2 really good racers too. Man, there's going to be some fun races, I think, next season.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on the 2 talking points I wanted to get to, which was Mercedes and McLaren. There's really nothing much else to say about Max. He's the best driver in the world right now, and he's driving the best car. So
Absolutely.
that's how that's going to go.
Apparently, there's going to be some upgrades for Mercedes at COTA this year, and I'm very excited to see what that means because they've been racing pretty well in what is clearly like not a fantastic car.
Yeah, I think the Mercedes are getting there. And what I wanted to talk about with the Mercedes specifically was what Chris touched on, and George Russell being a little bitch boy on Saturday night.
George Russell being a little bitch boy. I would have never guessed. He's
Here's the
always
thing,
so not bitch boy.
I don't know. That race exemplified everything I thought about George Russell.
Yeah.
Every single thing that I thought, I'm fully justified in thinking.
Jamie feels very
Because
vindicated.
I feel so vindicated. And we were even chatting. There's a guy, we had a stream going for the race, and King, we never got his name, but King was in there. You can see his name at the bottom of our thing because he subscribed.
Hey, like and subscribe if you're watching right now.
Yes, thank you. He was saying, he was trying to defend, he's a Mercedes fan, and he was trying to defend George Russell and say he's not that bad, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yes, he is. He's a entitled prick. And then he pulled all that shit in the middle, at the end of that race. And I just felt so vindicated. He was 100,000% wrong in what he was trying to do with the team, and what he did. He almost cost Lewis 5th place. He almost cost Lewis positions for the 2nd week in a row with his stupid decision making.
Yeah, no, he's
it's
a little bitch boy.
It's unreal.
He's a little piss boy, dude. That's what he is. He's just like, we were trying to give him a break during the stream too. We're trying to be like, no, like he's not that bad, and like he seems like a good dude, and like overall, and he's probably a decent dude off the track, right? But yeah, like I mean, he just fucking he tried a gimmick. He was too late on that gimmick, and then they were basically fucked at that point.
Here's the thing. He chose his strategy. He went to the one-stop strategy, and he was hoping for a red flag. And then when he didn't get the red flag, he didn't concede to his teammate.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, has 7 world championships.
Just off the cuff, he's got 7.
Like, what are you doing, dude? Just get out of the fucking way. And then when Lewis finally gets past him and can zoom off, he tries to pull if we're playing the team game, then have Lewis give me DRS so I can hold off Carlos, who's going 1.5 seconds faster per lap than I am.
Okay, in his defense, at that point, that is the right play. Right?
It's not.
But
when Carlos is going
it should have happened 4 laps earlier.
Yeah, that's 4 laps earlier, maybe.
But I mean, still, you want him to have the DRS because I mean, he still let Carlos go by like it was nothing. But
that's what I'm saying. He almost cost Lewis that spot. If Lewis had just floored it, off he went. It wouldn't have even been close at the end. It still wasn't because Lewis is a better driver, but.
Well, that's the thing. He wanted DRS, and all of a sudden he wanted to play the team game. You talk about him waiting. You talk about him waiting too many laps. Like Hamilton had pace, and they waited.
And he'd been saying it for 15 laps.
He could have caught up to Leclerc. There was a window there where he could have caught that because Leclerc only had maybe 3-second gap on Russell there early, and then he just started to pull away. But he could have caught up. He cost him that spot. He cost him. I mean, we're not for sure he would have caught him, but he cost him the chance to even battle for that extra spot in the race, and then goes in the whole, if we're going to operate as a team nonsense. Like, hello, I know I'm not the most tenured F1 fan, but I know well enough that, teams say, let the guy with pace through, and now Russ wants to play this team card nonsense when it doesn't work for him. Like, and he's also the same guy that Russell fans and him in general kind of want to pretend like Lewis was racing aggressive last week, and that's why he ran into the wall. It just wasn't his own dumb race mistakes. And I like the guy too. I like Mercedes as a team, but dude, you guys could just be so much better if your ego get out of the way. It did, 100%.
It cost them 2 points, and they're fighting off Ferrari for 2nd place in the constructors, which is a big deal.
Yeah, that's like a lot of money.
It's unreal that they let it go that long. Oh,
man, every single one of these guys is a fucking diva.
Yeah, but some of them are like...
Less diva. They're all divas.
Like Oscar let Lando go when it was team orders.
Yeah.
No problem.
He's also a rookie, which helps, but...
I don't know, man. It's just nuts. and then back to the resurgence of McLaren in the second half of the season. I am equally blown away with how fast that car is. and how inept they looked to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, they looked like they couldn't. I mean, they were in like 15th at the beginning of the year.
I don't think they even finished the first race.
It was bad.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't have points until Australia, and in the first race they had 2 DNFs.
Jesus.
And now Lando's up to 7th in the drivers, and they are up to 5th in the constructors. And they're going to pass Aston Martin in the next 5-6 races.
That's exciting.
Because that car has fallen off the face of the planet.
Yeah, dude.
It's been a crazy year.
It has been. Where'd that go? Gosh, we early on. You're like, oh, they're gonna be in some races. They might be in contention. They had the pace.
Well,
early, right?
Alonso was killing it.
He was looking great.
Killing it.
And the poor guy has to deal with Lance Stroll.
Ugh, the fucking teammate. Oh my god. He's such an idiot.
He's so bad.
Can
man.
we talk about real quick before we move on the bullshit that Checo pulled?
It was the team, but yes,
still,
he did
I
pull
mean, that's how, because Max didn't pull this. It's a Checo move. I mean, it's his team,
it's
obviously.
Christian Horner.
Yeah.
And that was a Christian Horner.
That was 100% a Christian Horner move. Listener, for those who don't know, Checo had a 5-second penalty, and if you don't serve it in your race, it can be a grid penalty for the next race. Checo
can be. It's
can
not
be.
Definitely.
Can
it
be.
Turn into that.
Checo had retired from the race with a 5-second penalty. He was done. It was over. And then 26 laps later, he's in the car, taking a lap, doing a pit stop for getting his 5-second penalty and doing another lap. 26 laps after, behind.
It's amazing that that's allowed.
That he was able to unretire. He was able to Brett Favre it. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. What are we doing here?
Kind of crap, man. I think it's kind of crap.
Oh,
Also,
it's
can we
total
just-
crap. I wouldn't
I
be
just wanna
surprised
point
if
out,
that's
too.
outlawed next year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's terrible. I do want to point out here, I think it's easy for people to get mad at Max because he dominates, right? And everyone goes, well, he's in the Red Bull, and the Red Bull is just a dominant car. And here's the thing: they have the thing tuned up. It's great, but Checo's driving the same rig, and he has been terrible since the first few races of the year. So my point is, maybe Verstappen, is actually a good racer. He's not just a product of a fantabulous car.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Max is the best driver on the grid right now. He just also happens to be in the best car. And
yeah.
I think Checo is at the end of his career and not driving very well.
Well,
Yeah, he's
wasn't
really
he doing
fallen
that
off.
before he got to Red Bull and just happened to luck into being
Well, I
in the
mean,
right
last
spot
year
at the
he had a
right time?
fantastic season last
Yeah,
year. He
he
was
did
driving
great
out of his
last year.
goddamn mind last year.
He was.
Driving
was.
amazing, but now this year he's just been kind of shit, which is weird. But you hate to see it, man. Hate to see it.
I still like him. I'm just saying.
Yep, I agree with you. He's still going to come in second in the drivers. Although Lewis, that's the other part, man. George is 8th in the driver's standing. Lewis is fighting for second. What are you doing, dude?
Being George Russell, man, little posh
Get over
bitch boy,
yourself.
little piss boy, man.
Get over yourself. I apologize in advance if I sound muddled. I'm still recovering from mouth surgery.
still called the forms of mouth surgery.
Yeah.
That was my impression.
Hosting
of
this
you.
show with Bane over here.
Gotham. The podcast is yours.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
All
I
right,
may or
let's
may
get
not do
on.
that in my car sometimes. So you drive it along, like, I'm turning right. Just narrating my day in a Bane voice,
I'm just laughing because I can just see you just solo in your car doing that.
100%.
Oh, I
dude.
made it to work.
Another fucking red light.
That's so good.
I was born in the dark.
I was born in the red light, molded by it.
let's get to some NFL briefly.
Broncos suck.
I have two things to say. That was one of them. I have two things to say. Broncos suck. And
Broncos for Caleb Williams.
tank City right now. That's what Denver needs.
Although, like, the weird thing is, like, Russell's not really the problem right now.
He's also not the solution.
He's not the
give me
solution,
Caleb Williams.
but he is not playing bad football
No,
right
he's
now.
not. The defense is the problem.
Let's
which
give
is
him
shocking.
a little bit of credit here because
It's
we've been shitting on him a lot. But
100% Russ is not the issue in Denver. It is shocking to me that the defense is the problem.
yeah,
Shocking. I did not expect this at all
me either.
out of the Broncos. The second thing that I want to say is I am so here for the Travis and Tay show.
Oh, dude, the fucking memes, Let me tell you, kids. I don't know if you guys remember that Cooper Kupp clip of like him on the sideline, and she's like, "What did you think on this route?" He's like, "Well, they brought a fire nickel blitz, and they didn't. I knew we'd have three coming through. Blah, blah, they didn't drop the safety. Yada yada yada." And the caption was just like Taylor Swift fans after hearing that she's dating Travis Kelce in 72 hours or whatever. Like, I was just like, I fucking love that shit. Or like, I found a shirt that said, he's the football captain and I'm on the bleachers. Like, it's just the funniest fucking shit out of this. I love it. Did you guys see that his jersey sales went up 400%?
In a day, I don't doubt that.
And he gained 330,000 Instagram or social media followers in 24 hours.
Swifties are nuts, man.
Dude, I think my favorite thing is all the TikToks of like wives talking to their. Have you seen these wives talking to their husbands and saying, "Oh, it's so nice of her, and she's gonna like make him so famous." And
She
give
put him
so
on the
much-
map.
Put him on the map.
It's fucking funny, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so.
I'm
good.
here for it though.
Put
I think it's
JC on the
hilarious as
map.
shit. Or like
Yeah,
one of my
exactly.
friends, we were talking about it. I have a couple like hardcore Swifties in my friend group, and they were talking about it because she's like, so like they were asking us about Travis Kelce, right? And he's like, my buddy Neil, he just goes, just be ready for another album in like 6 months.
Hey man, he's living it up right now.
Dude, he's crushing it.
Is there anybody crushing it more than Travis
His mother.
Kelce at the moment?
His mother not only has 2 Super Bowl playing like NFL players, but she also now has a 12-time Grammy winner as a daughter-in-law.
I mean, they're not married, but
I mean,
she does get to watch football games with Taylor Swift
with
sitting
the
next
biggest
to her
superstar on the planet.
on the planet.
She's crushing it, dude.
So is Travis, though, man. 2-time Super Bowl champ. He's got the #1 podcast out there that we
I
can't
love
even
their
touch.
podcast.
Oh,
I love
it's
their
so
podcast.
It's so good.
It's so much better than ours. Like, I'll admit it. It's so much
To
better
be
than ours.
fair,
We're
they
second.
have a little bit more funding.
We're second, in my opinion.
It's a close second.
And then Trailcasters is third.
Yeah, that show sucks.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Trailcasters is
You know
not
what?
third.
You know what doesn't suck?
Rip
though?
City Radio.
Listening to Chris Burkhardt on Rip City Radio 620, available on the iHeartRadio.
When are you gonna bring him back on, dude?
I got to have a host job. Fill in hosting one morning. Bring me on. I'll do it. I'll do it, dude.
You better, man. I'm ready for
I
it.
hosted. I filled in hosting on Thursday,
Friday.
and I
thought you said
Friday.
Friday.
Oh yeah, it was. I filled in, and I was gonna have Jamie call in and all that, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting mouth surgery." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, then
Never mind.
I won't
Dude,
give
it
you a
would've been
call."
Bad. I was
Yeah.
in so much pain Friday morning. That would have been awful.
So,
Well, I can't
but
wait
I
to be
reach
back
out
on
to
the
you
show.
whenever I get that platform. If I'm filling in again and I got a good time frame, I'll let you know.
You fucking better, dude. That was so much fun.
It was.
Dude, I got a high from that I'm gonna be chasing the rest of my life. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Now
we
be
need to
chasing the
time it
radio
for when I'm in
dragon.
town.
Yeah, I do.
Chris, just get
All
your own
right.
show, man.
I do.
Yeah, you
I
should
have
get
my
your
own
own
show
show.
weekly, 6 to 7, Courtside Monday.
Since when?
Since this time last year.
And we haven't been on it once?
Because it's a Blazer show. I'm bringing you guys on to talk NBA. Come on.
I'll do some
I'll talk
research,
about the
my guy.
Nuggets.
I will read about the NBA for you.
Okay. I'll bring you on my my
Okay,
NBA show. I
Okay,
will.
but also when you get a college football show, let me know. Okay,
Okay, I'll work on that.
I'll
one too.
co-host it with you. We can send in the podcast as our reel. Fucking sizzle reel, dude.
I feel like you're trying to put me in an awkward position here. Like you're just like, yeah, I'll co-host it with you.
Yeah.
Screw Jamie. Screw this guy who's helped
Yeah.
set up this entire.
He lives in
podcast.
fucking Denver. We
It's
can still do the
2023.
podcast.
Yeah, dude.
It's 2020. You know how
think
many
remote.
radio show hosts host shows remotely, not even in the
1000%.
market that their shows
Well,
in?
Jamie can be on it too then. I don't give a fuck. Put me on the air, dude. Put me on the air. Jesus, man. Come
I'll
on.
upgrade my studio for that.
All right,
I
we'll
will
work on it.
will
I'll work
upgrade
on
my
it.
studio. We'll do it from right here. I don't give a goddamn. I'm trying
Wait,
to
what we need-
I'm trying to pump that shit in my veins, Chris.
See, you just need to make life choices. You see, you make this an R-rated show with your use of the F word. Now, if we can get this into PG territory, then I might be able to convince my hires up, be like, hey, got a college football podcast if you guys want to run it on the radio station to fill time. See, that's
Well,
how
okay.
you got to think.
Just pick out pieces, put together a sizzle reel, and then we'll make it PG when we get there.
I will
There-
go
okay, there
PG
we go.
if it'll put us on the radio.
There we go.
If we can be a
100%,
syndicated podcast, yes, I will
Yeah,
go PG
exactly.
for
Look,
that.
We'll talk off air. We'll
Okay.
talk off air.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll do something. We'll get it
All
figured
right.
out.
Let's move on quickly. Again, 2 baseball notes. 1, the Rockies are 2 outs away from losing their 100th game.
Woo! Rocktober!
that's And the Mariners are fighting for a playoff spot.
And outside of tonight, which they are winning right now, they have not been fighting very hard the last couple days.
No, they've lost 4 in a row.
I'm very aware of that.
It's really bad.
But they're winning right now when you're wearing the Mariners hat. So if they win tonight, that
I'll
doesn't
wear
come
this
off.
hat. I'll keep wearing the hat.
Okay, shower with it. I don't give a fuck.
I don't want to ruin the hat. I will wear it every day.
Okay, that's what I'm asking for. Appreciate you.
There we go. All right, now it's time for the real stuff. What everybody's here for.
Yes, sir.
And that is college football.
Yeah, dude. College
Um,
football.
The last week's games, 100,000,000% lived up to the hype.
Dude, they were so good.
We pinpointed week 4 as one to watch for at the beginning of the season, and it lived up to everything that I wanted it to be.
It was just one of those weeks. We were watching the games, and it was like a perfect weekend of football for me, because like the game that makes me usually have a heart attack didn't this week, which is perfect.
Yep.
And then every other game, I was just chilling, watching great football. Oh, it's a beautiful day.
So good.
Chef's kiss. We haven't
So
done a
let's-
chef's kiss in a long time. Mwah, for that, baby.
Let's start with that game that everybody was talking about. It was the most viewed game of the week again, and that was Colorado at Oregon. This game was over from the jump.
Yes, it was over from the pregame speech.
I have some thoughts. First of all, from the Colorado perspective, I think this game was exactly what that team needed.
It
was
100% agree with that.
It was circled on the calendar as a loss by everybody to begin with, so not shocking. As a CU fan, I'm not upset by this at all. I'm not even upset by the score. Again, I think they kind of needed to be punched in the mouth.
I 1,000,000% agree with that. I think those first 3 games, Colorado got a little too big for their britches.
Yep.
And they got a little too cocky, a little too arrogant, which is like one thing where you're like, you're buying in, right? And this is one thing I have to say about Oregon, and I'll talk about in a second. But like, when you're buying in is one thing. When they went too far with it, and that comes with being inexperienced on a high level, right?
Yep.
Oregon's done it before too.
100%.
1,000,000,000% Oregon's done it before multiple times, right? It's part of the growing pains of becoming a relevant program.
Yep.
And I agree. Like, they got up there, and then they, you see Shiloh Sanders on that video. By the way, Oregon media team crushing it. But you see Shiloh Sanders coming out there, shit talking, and then Oregon just taking care of business and just absolutely punching him in the mouth. And he needed that, obviously. Yep. Right? Like, sometimes you need to realize, like, I'm not always the best person out here. No matter what people say, I need to work at this a lot harder.
Yep.
But yeah, one thing from the Oregon side of that I want to talk about is this was a game for Oregon, I think, that could be a turning point in a good way. I think based on everything I've seen since this game, Oregon is fully bought in, right? These kids are I think this was their prove it game. Like, they have all this hype, right? They're the trendiest team in college football. They have Offset at their fucking game, right? This is going to be the most watched game on television. Let's go show them what we do. And they did exactly that. I think this is one of the games where these Oregon players are like, oh, we're this fucking good. We need to play like it every single week. That's the kind of buy-in that I kind of saw come out of this game, right? Like, you saw, like, again, when the Oregon media, the video they posted about week 4, like, you've got, like, these guys who it's like, it's always about us. That's it. It's just about us and how we play. And, like, I think you can see and you feel that buy-in. So I'm excited to see where the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that got the most attention after this, obviously, was Dan Lanning's pregame speech. And as soon as I heard that, I had 3 immediate thoughts. The first thought was, I fucking love Dan Lanning.
Yes.
And I would run through a wall for that man.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second thought I had was, probably not the best idea for an Oregon head coach to talk about how being flashy and playing for clicks is not what you do, because Oregon started that shit. So I knew the backlash was coming as soon as he said it. 3, I know what he was going for.
Yeah,
And
I just think
nothing to do with any of that. I just knew exactly what was going to come.
Yeah, I think the people who think it's like, all the backlash stuff is like, well, you're just saying that for clicks, well, because you have the video in for clicks. It's like, that's not the point of that speech.
No, but
the point was backing it up. He is, and the point is
doing it for
the
clicks.
Substance behind the flash.
Yeah,
right.
And
that's his whole point in the
100%.
whole thing.
And the people that are saying that have clearly never been in a locker room that has had a motivational speech like that.
Yeah,
because as a coach, and Lanning came out and said it in his interview, I think it was yesterday, as a coach, your entire job is to take anything you can to get your team ready to go. And he did it masterfully.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. I just knew exactly what the backlash was.
Well, and another thing is, like, there's different levels to this, right? Of, like, playing for clicks, right? Like, yes, they wanted that moment to go viral. That's absolutely the point of that whole video. They hadn't had media in the pregame before that. They had it there because they knew people would be watching. They knew recruits would be watching. That is the whole point of that video. Deion Sanders is a whole other level of playing for clicks. He has their Twitter handles on their practice jersey. He has his own branding. He has 15 different shirts with his own slogans on them sold in the student store. That is a different level of, like, hyping myself and my team up for clicks, especially when there hasn't been substance, right? Like, Dan Lanning has had a good team. He's had the substance. Deion hasn't yet at Colorado. And so you like, it's part of that, right? Is like there's a level of wanting attention and wanting the clicks. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I read it. Does that not make sense to you guys?
It makes sense, but
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
My thing is, I sat here patiently. The thing that annoys me with this whole clicks versus, whatever, and people getting mad. Oh, he did it for the clicks. No, because Dion might be the only coach out there that's doing anything for clicks, and I'm not disrespecting him there. He has Colorado the talk of the town for a reason.
Like,
but
results.
we run into the same issue here, with like the Trailblazers, the social media team and the marketing team, the ones who are literally out there looking to get clicks. They're not the ones playing the game on Saturday and Sunday, right? They're not the guys. So I get what Dan Lanning's laying down, and you lump him in there. Oh, you say that as the coach of Oregon. Yeah, Dan Lanning wasn't the guy in 2005 that decided to put diamond plates on the shoulders and run out the state. You know what I mean? There's just so many levels to Oregon that make it a little bit different. I get what he's saying, and I get why people want to latch onto it. And Dan Lanning, to his credit, like, people wanted to try to drag him for the last few days. Then he comes out in his press conference this week and was just like, how can I disrespect Dion? If you can't see what he's doing for college football,
yeah,
you're an idiot. He's like, everybody's talking about Oregon right now, good or bad, and it's because we played Colorado last week. Like, we weren't getting this same hype after beating Hawaii, and that's kind of this what he was getting at. But also, candidly, as the three of us have all been in there before, the amount of people that this pregame speech outed as having never been in a competitive sports locker room in their life absolutely blew my mind. Like, you don't think that Dion said almost probably verbatim the exact same thing to his team? You don't think Jonathan Smith, who's the quiet, reserved coach, and the guys went out there, played good, you don't think he gets the team fired up by saying stuff like that in the locker room? It's just word for word out of coaching 101 playbook. And again, credit to Dan Lanning calling out Skip, and he's like, that camera was in there. That was a 10-second view into the house. I live in the house. I'm in the house every day. I know how to talk. So it's like, again, the amount of people who outed themselves having never listened to a coach talk to them before in my life was kind of shocking. Also, shout out Rip City Radio for commenting on the page, by the way.
Yes. Shout out to anybody commenting. We love you guys interacting with us. It's awesome. The one take that I respected the most out of this whole controversy, if you want to even call it that, was Joel Klatt. I don't know if you guys follow him a lot, but I really like Joel's takes a lot.
Here's the thing: if he had something good to say from that Colorado homer, this must be a good thing.
It was a great take.
That's what I'm saying.
And he said his whole thing was, Dan Lanning doesn't make that speech if he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen in that game. Dan Lanning knew that they were going to go out and blow the doors off of Colorado.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning doesn't give ESPN access into the locker room for that speech if he didn't know what his team was about to do. And so he's he's like, Oregon moved up a bunch in my rankings, and I view that program totally differently now than I did before because of A, seeing the speech, and B, Dan Lanning giving access to it because it shows what he knows about his football team. I was like, yeah, that's 100% accurate.
Yeah. That is a very good take. Can we talk about the coldest take of the week?
Yeah,
there's a lot of cold takes.
The coldest take of the week that I've seen anyway was Keyshawn Johnson. Did you see this shit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, dude! The amount of excuses coming out for their boy. I love it's so weird to me because Dion came out and was like, "Yeah, we just got our asses kicked." Like that's his whole post-game press conference. It's like they kicked the shit out of us. Like that's just they were better.
Even in his press conference, the Colorado media guy was trying to get them to end, and he's like, "No, I got time. Ask me more questions."
Yeah.
About why we just got our asses
Yeah,
kicked.
and this is the weird part to me is like Coach Prime himself is like, no, they kicked our ass. They were better, and he literally said they were better in every phase of the game tonight. Pretty plain. And then Keyshawn Johnson comes out and he's like, I've heard from some people who know people in the coaching fraternity. They're all conspiring against Deion Sanders. They're calling each other and they're giving each other game plans on how to beat them, which one doesn't make any sense, right? Because like nobody had beat Colorado yet. How can you game plan to beat Colorado if nobody's beat them yet? You can't. Nothing has technically worked yet, so that's out the window. Number one. Number two, what? Like, is there something that
Just shut the fuck up?
Yeah, is
dude.
there something that fucking Matt Rule knows about Colorado that
Yeah.
Dan Lanning can't find on fucking tape?
Also, we knew.
And
We knew
everybody
this before
fucking
the
knew.
season. Everybody on the planet knew what was going to happen on Saturday.
I don't think people knew it was going to be that, but everybody knew Oregon was going to win that game.
And everybody knew it was going to be because they'd win the trenches.
Yeah. And, oh, my God, dude, I got to say, Colorado's offensive line might be the worst in the country. If
It's
they could
definitely
square
not,
that away,
but it's bad.
it's up there. Because if they could get that squared away, watch out, man. Like, I know it's like the hardest position
They
to get.
have
But
the skill positions.
the skill position, they need some rework in their front seven too on the defensive side of the ball. But like they have,
Linebackers are good though.
they've been kind of torched 2 weeks in a row though. Oregon torched them.
Linebackers.
Colorado, yeah, linebackers. Colorado State torched those linebackers. Torched them.
Well,
Torched them, Jamie.
no, Colorado State didn't torch the linebackers.
That middle route all day.
It wasn't being covered. They were playing cover.
Then they need a new
It
DC.
doesn't matter. They were. It wasn't being covered by the linebackers. That was being covered by the nickel. But it doesn't matter.
But anyways, I think they need reworks there. But yeah, like
The lines are terrible.
the lines are awful. And I actually thought Colorado's defensive line was going to be much better than it was, but it is not.
They also have injuries. They have a couple guys from fall that haven't even stepped on the field who should be starters on a team that's not deep already.
Yeah, that's an issue we called out from the beginning, was that there's no depth.
Yep,
Zero
and it's
depth
going to be
on
a
this team.
problem.
Yep. But yeah. So and that was it, man. Like you said, over from the first snap.
It was. You knew that was over from the first drive. It was like, this is not going to be a game.
Yeah.
And it
I just
wasn't.
think it's funny to everyone's conspiring against Dion and this and that. Like, again, people who out themselves. So the amount of pro football talking heads who outed themselves having never watched Oregon football to
like
know that they were
RC
going to
on
dominate
Fox.
that game. Go on game day. Who is the only person who picked Colorado? Vince Vaughn, right? Of dodgeball fame. like you
Yeah.
can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. That's the only guy who picked Colorado. And let's not forget that the guy's also a comedic actor by trade, so it makes absolute sense. Everyone with a half a brain for football understood that Oregon was the better team that day. And as Jamie and I said last week, that's what Dan Lanning had the most to lose of perhaps any coach in the country this year, that weekend. That's why he was fired up. You lose that game, and keeping the fact you also lost to Oregon State and Washington last year. Yeah, people are starting to wonder, are you the guy? No, he went out there and he took care of business and is blocking out the noise. So good
that
on him.
game was maybe. I'm speaking in fantastical right now, but that was like maybe the best I've ever seen like an Oregon team be prepared for a game. Like that was like they came out fully ready from snap one, right? Like that team was ready to fucking play that game. And like you've always like I always remember seeing Oregon like that slow first half where they just like they can't get any fucking rhythm and the defense is bending too much. And no, this was like they were ready to play from snap one, and they executed nearly perfect. Well, that first half was near perfect execution. On both
It's
sides of the ball.
interesting. You talked about getting beat from the jump, and I think there's something that we didn't see in the moment, but we saw when we watched that highlight video that they posted. Go back to Colorado State, right? The cameras are in the stadium, and Travis Hunter and everyone else is out there. And what's going on? They're jarring with Colorado State. Colorado State is jarring back. They have to come in and separate the teams, right? because Colorado State was stupid enough to play the Colorado game at that point. When you get to this, Colorado tried to do that against Oregon. You get the video of Shiloh. Why are you guys so small? I'm going to beat your ass and your coach. What was Tosh Lapoi's reaction, who was 10 feet away from him? Ignore him. We got business to take care of.
I think his exact words, he doesn't deserve your attention.
Exactly. Looked at his guys and then just kept running them through the drill. And that right there, when you talk about being prepared, Eli, they had that team not focused on playing the Colorado who can out-talk the other game, because, as Dan Lanning said, they're going to speak with their pads. So that little tidbit from Lapoy proves to me your point about being prepared to take care of it.
It also goes back into my point of like the buy-in, right? You saw that buy-in, right? They believe, and you saw it after the game with Lanning's speech too. They're not playing Colorado. They're playing Oregon. They all buy in that if they play their game and they don't make the mistakes that beat themselves, that they'll win. And you saw that buy-in. You saw it at the pregame. You saw it during the game, and you saw it after.
Yep, I have the same reaction after that game. I think this is a linchpin moment for this Oregon team.
I also think this is a good linchpin. Sorry to interrupt, but it's a good moment for Colorado too. I think they'll be a much improved team because of this.
I mean, you heard Dion. He said, "Mark it. This is going to be the worst we are."
Yeah,
and I believe him. But am I going to pick them to beat USC this coming week? No, I'm not. Do I think it's going to be that ugly? No, I don't. But we'll get to those. We'll get to those predictions in a little bit. Let's move on to the rest of the Pac-12 slate, which was shockingly good from basically top to bottom.
Hell yeah, it was, dude. Pac-12 kicks ass, dude.
Pac-12 kicks
Fuck
ass.
Larry Scott.
Oh my God. Fuck
I'm
him.
just like, this whole season, I'm just fury.
I have seen,
Jamie.
There are East Coast shows and podcasts and things that are ranking the Pac-12 as the best conference in the country over the SEC, over the Big Ten. But we've known the Pac-12. The Pac-12's been the third best conference for a minute.
Yeah.
Even when it was bad, it was still better than whatever the ACC and Big 12 put out there.
For sure.
Now they're the best, and they're getting credit for it, and it's all going away. It's fucking
so
poetic justice,
fucking
I guess.
dumb, dude. It is so fucking dumb.
But
I'm still so upset. I'll never be over it.
Let's get to these other games. UCLA at Utah. Man, there's not another team in the country, in my opinion, that could be without their star quarterback and be 4-0 with the schedule that Utah has.
No, I agree with that.
There might not even be another team that could be 3-1 with
a
backup.
So I follow basically every team subreddit, which is simultaneously like fun and like really insightful. And there's a lot of really great fans in each subreddit. There's also it's also a fucking nightmare sometimes. But I was in Utah's, and there were people like the post was basically like, can we stop talking about Coach Witt being like not the guy, because he's clearly the guy here, right?
Who there is saying
so
he's
apparently a lot of the fan base at Utah has been down on Whittingham because they haven't won the big games, right? And I went and I was like, dude, legitimately,
oh my God, dude.
if the Ducks didn't have Dan Lanning, my second choice would be Whittingham. I think he is year over year the most clearly the most consistent and probably the best coach, like pure coach. The amount of production he can get out of the talent he gets, unbelievable. It's Herculean. Like the juice he gets out of the squeeze is just unbelievable to me. And
100%.
And so I was just like, I went in there, I was like, what the fuck? Like there are people like, I don't know, like he's like not like we just don't get, like, we're not in the playoff, blah, blah, blah. We deserve to be in the playoff. It's like, talent wise, you have no business being anywhere fucking near
talent wise, Utah shouldn't even be in the top 25.
Yeah. But Jesus, you've got a really great coach, maybe the most underrated coach in the country. I mean, I can't think of another guy who's a better coach with less respect. I mean, he's respected a lot, but like nobody thinks of like Whittingham being like the great hire, right? Even though he absolutely would be anywhere he goes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have a
Talk
whole
about-
lot. I'm kind of amazed that that's even a thing.
It's
How can they even remotely think that?
maybe it was just like
You know what that makes
Some-
me want?
what?
Just I want Kyle Whittingham to go somewhere else and
Oh.
just run train and have Utah just fall off a
Just
cliff.
no, have him go somewhere else in the Big 12. Like
There you go.
when Dave Aranda gets fired after this year, he'll go
Yeah.
he'll go
Yeah,
to
Kyle
Baylor
Whittingham's going to
and just
Baylor.
He is.
and just boat race Utah every fucking year.
He is.
Dave Aranda's one that I was wrong on, by the way.
Me too.
Dude, he is Utah's Eric Spoelstra. You know, Eric
100%.
Spoelstra
That's
having
good.
started as a video coordinator for Miami. Do you have any idea when he started at Utah?
Well, it was like
It was
20.
a long
It
time
was like
ago.
he's been their head coach for like what, 20 years?
Just like
19?
when he was
22
hired
years.
on staff at Utah.
I'm guessing like 30.
It was like
years ago.
92, wasn't it?
1994. He has been
94.
in Utah since 1994. He was
Almost my
Urban
whole life.
Meyer's defensive coordinator. Like,
I was 5.
like
Jesus.
that's wild. He has been there that long. It's and he is, I mean, honestly, like he is Nick Saban, just doesn't have the national championships. Because and I mean that in the fact that Nick Saban every single year puts together a winning team. And you look since 2005, I mean, he's had what, two seasons that weren't winning seasons. He finished 5-7. Every other year was a winning record, multiple 10-win seasons. Yes, he didn't win one, but again, back-to-back trips to the Rose Bowl, like that's no small potatoes. Like, it's like
Also, who'd you play in those Rose Bowls that you lost? You're Utah. Like, let's
Yeah.
know who you are for a fucking second
Well, it's
before
like
you start spouting off about how you should be in the playoff.
yeah, it's,
Utah belongs nowhere near the playoff, and the fact that they're even in the conversation is amazing.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
big time.
look at their transition into the Pac-12. Like, what happened in Colorado? Colorado went in the shit can for.
That was a variety of reasons that
But-
had not a lot to do with
well,
a lot of anything.
It's part
but
of it. It's part of the thing, right?
Yeah.
But without Whittingham there, Utah could be in the exact same fucking mess.
that was
the
why they
interesting thing
were.
is,
That was why they were hesitant to bring him in, because it's Utah.
Yeah,
yeah, but the interesting thing is, those first 3 years in the Pac-12, 2 of those years are the 2 losing records that he has.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
5-7s. So sometimes my point here is that it's not always the smart move to just make the quick trigger jump. Like, 2 5 and
Grass
7.
isn't always
yeah,
greener.
we got to cut ties with this guy. Understand what he's trying to build, and that you might take your lumps getting into a bigger conference from where they were, because it's worked out pretty damn good for them, and the team
100%.
looks incredible right now.
100%.
even with Nate Johnson like not playing that well, Utah as a team looks dangerous.
That
I mean, like
defense is nasty. man.
like Nate Johnson came out and like I don't know if you saw this, he issued an apology for the way he played in that game, which is like a very Utah quarterback thing to do. It's be like, sorry guys, I played pretty bad. I'm gonna be better.
He's
You
like
know,
Tim Tebow.
in a
Never
win.
see another performance.
He
like that.
apologized in a goddamn win. Like, yeah, they only scored 7, but
and one of them was a fumble recovery.
yeah,
but
yeah. But like, still, like, you know, but you know, when Cam Rising comes back, watch out, dude.
Yeah, watch out. Watch out's right. That offense is not going to put up a lot of points. I still think the offense has taken a step back from last year. That defense is nasty.
Nasty, dude.
Now, to be fair, while they have 3 Power 5 wins, Florida is not all that impressive. Baylor is bad.
I think Florida's still a top 25 team in our rankings.
Yeah, it's not like beating Florida in 2008.
Yes.
All right, let's see this game coming up on Friday in Corvallis is the benchmark moment for Utah
and Oregon State.
And Oregon State. This is it's like make or break for Oregon State at this point, I think.
I think Oregon State had their benchmark moment on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll get to that one in a second. We'll see. I still don't know if Cam Rising's coming back for that Oregon State game.
There were rumors that he was coming back for this last game, so the UCLA game. So I'm guessing that he'll be back for.
Yeah, we'll just see how quickly he knocks the rust off. Right? There's a lot of factors that go into coming off an injury.
I'm sure
like
he'll
that.
rise to the occasion.
Oh my God. Moving along. Let's talk about the Pac-2 championship game that took place in Pullman on Saturday. That game.
Pac-2 championship. Here's the thing. I got to give credit to their fans, to these because they are steering into the Pac-2, and I think it's fucking hilarious.
It is. It's great. It's great.
I mean, I saw a post of like the Pac-2 championship game, and then at the bottom it had like F the rest of you or something like that, which is dumb. But like, I thought that steer into it, kids. Especially sure. On your way to the Mountain West.
This game was incredible.
That was a wonderful game.
Specifically because the Cougs almost couged it. They tried their fucking hardest to coug it. Right down to that onside kick, dude.
My favorite thing is I was watching the Notre Dame Ohio State game at the same time, and Jamie texted us during the game and said, "Couging it," and I didn't know which game he was talking about because Notre Dame was couging it at the moment.
They both couged it.
Yeah. No, sorry, distraction, but yeah, no, the Oregon State Washington State game. Go. Continue.
Washington State is for real. That team is good. And Cam Ward, I was wrong about his ceiling because it is far higher than I thought it was.
Yeah, the new coach that came in, and it's kind of like the transition that as a bunch of people on this show know, like Ty Thompson, because a lot of people are Duck fans. He looks like a different player. He's confident. He's got a different throwing motion that looks better. He's slinging it right now. He's making better decisions.
Ben Arbuckle coming in and being the OC there.
Yeah.
What a hire, man. That is looking like a slam dunk. He's like 28 years old, too. He is working wonders with Cam Ward.
Yeah. We had this last week on the radio. I filled in and had interviewed Alex Brink, former Cougar quarterback, and does radio for them. And we were talking about Cam Ward because what I think is crazy and going into that game, and I think he put a lot of people on notice. I mean, I told Alex straight up, I go, I think Cam Ward is a weapon, and I think he's going to decide the game. I go, but what's crazy is if you ask anyone who's the best quarterback in the Pac-12, right? It's Caleb Williams, obviously. And then you get into the next tier. People will argue, is it Penix or Bo Nix, right? Cam Rising's up there. People like Shadur Sanders, DJ Uiagalelei. They're all – you're going down to the 6th or 7th guy before anyone is even thinking of mentioning Cam Ward, right? And then against the Beavers, he played like he's been all season. Just some people haven't been watching it. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country, let alone the conference, which is nuts, though, because he still might be the 4th or 5th best in this conference because this conference is freaking stacked. It's unreal, right?
Especially at quarterback. Like you were talking about, the tiers. Yeah, it's Caleb Williams, then it's Bo and, and Penix, and then it's maybe Shadur. And I'm like, yeah, that all makes sense. And then Cam Ward's down there. And I'm like, fuck, he's too good to be in the fucking 4th tier of this conference.
But and I don't think he is. Like I think he's a better quarterback right this season than Shadur's been.
I would agree with that.
I'm not a huge Shadur guy. I think he's right there though. They're in the combo, just like Penix and Nix are in the combo. I think obviously Husky fans going to go Penix, Duck fans going to go Knicks. Whichever one you put above the other, you're right. Like they're so close to each other.
Yeah,
they
you
play
can't
different,
be
but they're so close.
wrong necessarily.
And so is Shedeur and Ward. But this is the crazy part is like the point is when you are talking about the best in the conference, you're going that far before you talk about this guy, and he single-handedly dismantled what up to this point has been a pretty decent Oregon State defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington State looks legit, man.
I mean, that's their second ranked win
part
of the season
Yeah.
already.
And that's the scary part if you're Oregon or you're Washington or you're USC and you have college football playoff hopes, because any quarterback pretty much in this country or excuse me, in this conference outside of, Stanford and Cal, it's like, dude, like
Even Cal can put up points though, man.
I know.
Cal put
but
up
Cam
500
Ward,
yards on Washington this week.
and called that one.
Yeah.
Because they're better than they were last year. Wilcox deserves a medal for what he's done, considering everything that's happened to that university because of COVID, as we said last week. But the point is, if the defense shows up, Cam Ward plays, Cougars can beat anybody.
Yeah.
So kudos to Cam Ward, man, for putting it on full display.
I'm feeling real comfortable in my pick of my prediction of the Pac-12 is going to have playoff worthy teams that aren't going to make it.
Oh,
It's going to be the best conference to not have a.
we're headed straight to a 2-loss conference champ
Yeah.
with like
Probably.
5 teams having 2 losses.
I mean, this conference, you cannot
There's
have
no
a week
break.
off. Okay, so Stanford is a break, Arizona is a break. After that, if you have a down week, you're losing. I don't care who it is after those two teams.
Arizona, Stanford, and Arizona State are pretty clearly the bottom tier at this point.
But
look
even
what Arizona
Arizona-
State did to USC.
Even
True.
then, you still can't totally sleep on it.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man.
There's no sleepwalking to a win except for maybe no. I'm going to say there's no sleepwalking to a win in this conference this year.
No.
Stanford's
Where
the
you're going.
closest.
Yeah.
Stanford is the closest, but that even then, like,
Arizona sleptwalked and almost lost.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty spot on with my preseason stuff so far. I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit.
Me too.
My biggest miss by far so far is Washington State, and it's not even close. I was pretty down on this team, and they are. It still may come true, right? They may lose the 5 games they're going to be not favored in, and they may finish, 7-5. But as we sit here today, that team's ridiculous.
Yeah. I feel like so far I haven't had a major miss. I think my biggest miss is Colorado. I was pretty down on Colorado. They're better than I thought. Obviously, they still have issues that they need to take care of, and depth is a big problem there. They're better than I thought they would be. Shedeur is a much better player than I thought he was going to be. He's probably my biggest miss. Although in my preview, I said it's because he's going to have people in his face the whole time, and how is he going to adjust to that? So maybe not, but I was lower on Colorado than they are. They can go bowling very easy, and I did not think that was really a possibility.
I also contend that Shedeur put in a ton of work this summer, because I was low on him too from watching his games at Jackson State, and I don't think he looks like the same quarterback. Like if he had an offensive line blocking for him, he's whoa boy.
He can sling
he's
it.
put in some work and makes better decisions and has an incredible arm. Like I said, I didn't like him. I put him near the bottom of the conference myself. He's put in work, so kudos to him.
His
He looks like a
big
different
thing,
quarterback.
his big thing, I think now is just getting rid of the balls. If it's
You don't need to be a hero on every.
yeah, he's playing hero ball, and you see it a lot with guys like that who have a horrible offensive line.
You know who used to be like that at his former school?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
He
I was
also
going
had
to say
an
that, but I was
atrocious
just going to
offensive
say,
line.
you watch Caleb Williams and Shadur and how they all play. It's like Patrick Mahomes has had the same effect on current quarterbacks as Steph Curry has on high school kids in the 3-point shot. Like, I don't have to go down as long as I'm upright. I'm making plays.
Steph Curry wrecked rec ball for me because rec ball, since I can't shoot, rec ball is just me running from 3-point line to 3-point line. That's it, because everybody just jacks up shots. I'm just like,
Hey.
I'm on a lovely evening stroll watching people shoot threes. That's all.
Every good
rec
shooter
basketball
needs
is.
someone to set good picks. Okay.
I don't even have time. You don't even have time. People get like to the fucking half court and they're like, I got it, guys. I'm fucking Steph Curry. I don't play rec ball anymore because of that. I'm just like, if I want to go jog, I'll just fucking jog.
I'll just go for a run.
I'll just go for a fucking run, dude. I'm not gonna pretend to play basketball with you guys when you're just fucking throwing up threes, man, and missing 90% of them. But I miss one shot and it's game over, dude. I never get the ball again. I hate rec ball, dude.
All right, back to the Pac-2. We've talked about what this means for Washington State and that this team is legit. What does this mean for Oregon State and their hopes for a Pac-12 title and or more?
When I was watching the game, I thought they played pretty well. I think this was more a testament to Washington State being good than Oregon State being not as good as maybe we thought. Yeah, so I think the sky is not falling for Oregon State, and like we've been kind of touching on, fucking any team can win it this year, man. Any team can win it. Outside of maybe 2 or 3, any team can win the Pac-12 championship.
My thought on Oregon State in this game is, this game should not have been this close. Washington State bungled the fourth quarter badly.
Cooking it.
B, DJ did not look very good on Saturday in his first real test in a Beavers uniform. I saw more flashes of the bad Clemson than I saw of the good Oregon State that we saw to start the season. That, to me, is the biggest cause for concern if you are a Beaver faithful.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think more so, I think what's concerning is, as I've been saying all year, that this is a really important year for Coach Smith, a guy who's been billed as a quarterback's coach his entire career, basically, now has one of the most talented ones he's ever had, so he has to get the most out of that. And he's also been billed as an offensive guy. I mean, he was an offensive coordinator at Washington. He was in control of offenses. And shockingly, it was the offense that lost this game in Washington. You can look at the score and say they scored 21 points in the fourth, whatever. But game-wise, it was just some really, really questionable play calling. And as I'm watching it late in the fourth, when time is not on their side, and it's just like, run the ball up the gut for 2 yards and then just waste a ton of time getting back to the floor, line and just not playing with urgency until there was like 3 minutes left. And it's just like, that's coaching and being prepared and ready for the moment and little things like that. And again, DJU looked bad. And I'm not saying every single quarterback has to put up insane numbers every week, but when you look at DJU getting 198 yards versus Cam Ward surpassing 400, it was pretty clear one quarterback put on a show and willed his team to victory. So interesting breakdown. I do think Oregon State bounces back in a big way. I'm picking them for the upset in Utah against Utah on Friday, mainly because I'll be there for the game. So I just want to see something amazing. By the way, I'll be there because I'm going to be hosting Rip City Radio 620 from 3 to 6. So tune in. But no, I think they can bounce back. But also, I think this raises question marks in spots of the team that you didn't expect there to be question marks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the way I looked at it, I guess I was being a little more forgiving in my thought process here, because we knew that Oregon State was not. I mean, they weren't like, they won games last year with Ben fucking Gulbranson, right?
It's
like
amazing.
They don't, and they still have an incredible offensive line and Damian Martinez. Damian Martinez, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Fenwick, they got a two-headed monster.
Yeah. I mean, they've like, this is a run first team, so like DJ looking meh is like not that big of a deal to me. because like that shouldn't be the focus of this offense. I mean, they didn't look great for sure, but I mean, this is out of all the teams in the Pac-12, this team is the one that needs a quarterback the least, maybe, because their offensive line.
Disagree with that.
Their offensive line is like run blocking machine. Run blocking machine.
I think that is exactly why they need the quarterback and they need DJ to play better, because the games that Oregon State won last year, they're not going to win in this conference this year. This conference has elevated itself so much this year, and they just showed it on Saturday. You're not going to win those games that you won. Oregon State wins this game last year against Washington State. With the way that this played out, that's a win for Oregon State last year. It's a loss this year, and it should have been a worse loss. That's going to keep piling up. You lose if you don't play Oregon better passing the ball than you played them last year, you're going to lose.
Good point.
So I think DJ has to be, and they were hoping that DJ would be the answer, and he has to be. Like, if there's anybody that has pressure in this conference, it's DJ Uiagalelei. He has to be the guy in Corvallis. Does he have to throw for Shedeur and Cam Ward numbers every game? No, but he has to complete more than 50% of his passes, and he can't throw picks. If you have a run offense like that and you have a defense that can stop, well, maybe not, but if you have a running attack like that, the one thing you have to do as a quarterback is protect the ball and make the throws when they ask you to make them. And he didn't do it on Saturday. So that's my, like, I think it's more concerning than you think it is, because they can't be the Oregon State of 2022 if they want another 10-win season.
Good point.
That's my soapbox. All right. The most surprising outcome of Saturday. There's two surprising ones. The most surprising to me was Arizona at Stanford, because if you were on the show or listened to the show last week, we basically said Arizona minus 12.5 was the biggest slam dunk in the history of betting.
Uh-oh.
And they squeaked one out.
So I didn't get to listen. I had it up. I had the stream up, but we were in a like Koreatown karaoke bar. It was very loud. I couldn't hear anything, but I had it up. I was supporting my own podcast. But dude, it's like this fucking, sorry, this is a total side. It was in like the sketchiest part of town. It was under an underpass. There was no other fucking businesses around it. It was just this weird, like, ultra trendy karaoke bar where you have like the individual rooms where you go do karaoke. Outside was a Ferrari. We were like, what is happening here, guys? Like, anyways, so that's why I didn't I didn't get to listen. But yeah, that's oops. 12.5.
I thought it was slam.
I would have been there with you guys. I'll be honest. I would have been there with you guys.
I thought it was the biggest slam dunk in the history of betting.
Sorry, where were you at?
I said I would have been with the 12.
No. Where was this created? What city
Chicago.
were you in? Chicago. Okay. Commenters were asking, if you're gonna have a chat up, you got to listen to the chat. Okay.
I don't have it up. I have other things to have
up.
up.
God.
This is why we have a producer.
It's 2023. Have 20 screens. Come on now.
I have a lot.
Helmet,
I only have 2. I don't have room for that. It's 2023. Rent prices are insane. I can't afford a lot of space. Jesus, Chris. Coming at me like that, trying to blow up my spot.
Anyway, back to this game.
You ain't getting back on the radio with that attitude.
This is. This is.
Maybe I don't want to be on the radio.
I'll join you remotely, Chris.
Kidding.
I'll be your.
Yeah,
there you go.
I admittedly saw 0 of this football game. This is the only Pac-12 game I saw none of, because it was on the Pac-12 network. Thank you, Larry Scott.
Thanks, Larry Scott. Fuck you, man.
So I don't have a whole lot to say here, other than I'm assuming Arizona just sleptwalked into this game and Stanford played decent. And that's
Sure.
about all I got.
That's all you need to know.
I also didn't watch this because I don't have Pac-12 Network.
Thank you,
yeah,
Larry Scott. Go
thank
fuck
you.
yourself, buddy.
Go fuck yourself, Larry Scott. Eat a bag of dicks.
The Pac-12 After Dark games, the Washington Cal game was over before the Washington Ferrari of an offense even stepped on the football field. Because Washington was up 13-0 before their offense even played a snap.
That's dirty.
It's gross.
So I think this would have been I wouldn't say a good game, but it wouldn't have been quite as ugly if Cal didn't throw a pick six and give up a punt return for a touchdown in the first two drives of the game.
It's not quite, what you're saying is it's not quite the sky is falling as the score would indicate.
For Cal.
For Cal.
And
Yeah.
it's also not quite anointing this Washington team as a playoff contender as the media seems to be doing.
I saw something.
They are a playoff contender. I'll give them a contender. I wouldn't say they're a favorite.
I saw
Stings a little bit as
something.
the member of this pod that ranked them the highest.
I saw
you did.
something that Cal has yet. I'm double checking this right now, but Washington has yet to beat a team. Oh, never mind. Because hold on. That has a win against a Power 5 opponent.
That is true.
Yeah, so maybe it's a little inflated right
Just
now.
pump the brakes a little bit.
Pump the brakes a little bit. They're a
Now,
good team.
That being
They're a
said,
good team.
Michael Penix Jr. is outside his mind.
He's absolutely unbelievable. He is an incredible player, and there's no doubt about it. And as an
Good.
Oregon fan, playing them in Washington is terrifying.
Horrifying. And at least we get 2 more weeks without that being the case.
I'm going to be such a fucking nervous wreck for
I'm
that
gonna be
game.
an
I might not be able to
absolute
watch
mess.
it. I might just be
I'm gonna be a
curled up
mess.
in my bed, just like, ugh.
It's going to be bad.
So stressed. I'm already stressed about it. We got three
There's
fucking
not much
weeks.
else to say. Michael Penix is ridiculous. That game was over before it started because of Cal's missteps.
Yeah.
Not that it was going to be a game. I'm not saying Cal would have won by any stretch.
I think it would have been fairly close, actually. Cal played a great game. Outside of those
They
two
did.
big issues.
They couldn't score against the first string defense, which is
So
problematic.
this is the problem with Cal right now is their red zone offense is atrocious.
Yep.
Their game
They
against
lost them the
Auburn,
game
they
against
should have
Auburn.
won by 40.
Yep.
They cannot score in the red zone. They can't
Yep.
do it. And that's not you. Outside of that, between the 20s, this team is great. It's too bad that you have to go past that to win a game, right? Because it's kind of unbelievable to watch the switch. It reminds me of Stanford under Chris's favorite guy. Chris's best friend David Shaw,
Goated, baby.
when he would take over play calling inside the red zone, and it
And
would
then they
just go to
suck.
shit.
Yeah.
It's very
No,
reminiscent
it
of
was
that.
poor execution. It was great play calling.
Great play calling, 3 I-form dives, and a field goal. Anyways, it's very reminiscent of that Stanford team a couple years ago or a while ago now. I guess we're getting old, but who they would get through the 20s like it was nobody else's fucking business. But as soon as they got into the red zone, you're like, great, they're not going to score here. They might get 3. Cool. I like that for us. But yeah, if Cal can figure out a way to score in the red zone, they're legit. They're a legit team, man.
Yeah, 100%. Fully agree. Yeah, and again, the problem here with Washington is they have not yet to face a test, right? And this is
Yeah.
why I'm so high on Oregon right now. They finally got a test, right? Texas Tech did Oregon no favors by going in and losing to West Virginia this last weekend.
Yeah.
That win's looking worse and worse by the week. However, they kind of erased that negative mark, if you will, by just curb stomping the ever-loving shit out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Washington, we'll see when, fortunately or unfortunately for Oregon, and I think it's fortunate, their first real test is against Oregon.
Yeah.
That's the first time they're going to face a legit team. So we'll
pretty
see.
wild.
We'll see.
I saw a TikTok today, and it's CF Budge. I don't know if you guys follow him on TikTok. He's fantastic.
I like him a lot.
Although he's an Oregon State fan, so we're like, maybe not.
He
as
also
much,
likes
but
Oregon.
He does.
Pretty high on
He's
Oregon.
actually really good. If you he doesn't
He's very
sponsor this,
good.
he's very good. But he put out a TikTok that was talking about quad rankings. Have you
Love
seen
it.
that?
I sent
I
it to
fucking
you.
love that idea.
I don't know if you saw it before I sent it to you.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. Chris, have you seen that? Basically,
No.
ranking like the wins, like how they do in college basketball, where you have like, and I can't remember the criteria, but you have 4 quadrants, and like quadrant 1 is like a ranked team away, right?
Or like it's a top 15 team at home, or a top 25 team on the road is a quad 1 win.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then quad 2, and like it goes down from there in tier. Quad 4 is like FCS, right? And essentially it was like, and if you saw the rankings, it was wild. It was like totally different than anything.
It was almost a total flip of the AP
Yeah,
ranking.
because like you know,
almost a
it was
complete
like
flip.
basically through that ranking, I believe it was like Texas and Washington. All
It was-
their
it was
only wins are
USC.
USC. That's right,
USC and Washington.
were
And
four in Michigan were 4 quad 4 wins. So basically, it's like these are all just
Not
terrible
Texas.
wins. Like there's
Definitely
no
not Texas. Texas
Yeah.
has Alabama.
no, yeah. What was I thinking? Not Texas.
Georgia.
Georgia. That's right.
Georgia, USC, and Washington were all 22 through 25.
Yeah, it was wild. But it's a cool way to do it if S&P Plus was any good. But S&P Plus is gross.
Yep.
S&P Plus, I think, still has Alabama as the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
I think I could be
dumb
wrong,
stat.
but
Let's talk about the last Pac-12 game here real quick, and that was USC at Arizona State. Probably the most surprising outcome of the weekend. Arizona State, after being blanked at home by Fresno State, made this a game. It was a 1-score game in the 4th quarter at one point in this one.
more than 1 point. I think it was 2 points. I'm pretty sure, right?
It was a 1-score game in the 3rd, and then a 1-score game halfway through the 4th, and then USC scored twice
Oh, gotcha.
to put it out of hand. But I am still down on the USC defense, and
Their
we'll-
defense is not good.
their defense is borderline bad. And when you start playing, like, again, I'm not going to predict Colorado to win. Colorado's going to put up points on that defense.
First to 50 wins in this one.
Yeah. But when you start getting into this schedule and look at Notre Dame, Utah, Washington, Oregon, USC could legitimately lose all 4 of those games because that defense is bad.
Yeah, that is really bad.
How in the world do you give up 28 points to Arizona State? That team is awful.
It is a Kenny Dillingham offense. Maybe we can give him a little bit
They
of
got
benefit,
blanked,
but
bro. They got blanked by Fresno State
Fresno
in the
State is
same
ranked,
stadium.
man.
in the same stadium. Blanked.
It's bad. It's a bad look. I mean, that defense is really bad. And like I said, like again, not predicting it, but it's playing into Colorado's hand pretty nice. Because
Especially
Shedeur
after getting
is
whooped in
very
Michigan.
smart with the ball. Like, he doesn't throw away, which is not good. He should throw away the ball more. But he doesn't throw picks. He doesn't throw picks. And that is how USC, Shedeur does, has he turned over the ball this year? Maybe once or twice?
He has one pick that was basically a catch and got stolen.
Yeah.
Not his fault.
Yeah. So he's smart with the ball. He takes care of the ball. And that's where USC and this defense, that's the only way they get bailed out is by takeaways. Same as last year. They led the league in takeaways, but they were awful. They were awful outside of that. And it's the same story this year. They can't fucking tackle at all. And so this is like a matchup that you kind of want to keep an eye out on Colorado. I don't know what the line is right now. Do you know what the line is?
21.5.
I would take Colorado in that. I think that USC does not have the pass rush that Oregon does. They do have that one kid who's like a really good pass rusher.
One good pass rusher.
But outside of like they don't have the overall pass rush that Oregon has. They don't have the blitz packages that Dan Lanning cooked up, which were magnificent. And so like it's not going to be
the coverage.
It's not they do not have the coverage.
all.
It's not going to be the same game as the Oregon game. Shedur's going to have a lot more time to mess with the ball, and it's going to be very interesting to see. I think Jimmy Horn is going to have a huge game.
Yep.
That's my prediction, is Jimmy Horn is going to have a major game.
Love Jimmy Horn.
Yeah,
love
he's a good
that
player.
guy.
He's a good player, man. He's a good player.
Yeah, we'll get into our Pac-12 predictions here soon, but USC, the red flag should be going up pretty hard.
Yep.
Because
Grinch's seat is hot, baby.
It was hot to start the season.
Two years in a row of having this kind of defense where your only benefit is takeaways. That's not a winning recipe, man. That's how you disappoint every year.
Yep. All right. Before we get into our top 25, let's just briefly go through the rest of some of the big results of college football. I want to start with a game that was not one of these hype matchups, and that's Georgia against UAB. What is Georgia doing giving up 21 points to UAB?
Well, they're missing their amazing defensive coordinator, so their defense is just not going to be as good.
I mean, they were missing him last year too, and I don't think they gave up a touchdown.
Residual
That's
defensive coordinator, Jamie.
That's true. All those guys were taught up by the master himself.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. So
You're right.
this is the attrition of Dan Lanning that we're seeing.
All right. So the downfall of Georgia is 100% because
I'm kind of excited. Like I like don't have a problem with Georgia. I really like as an SEC team. Like I'm fine with them. You know, as fine as I could be with an SEC team. But I'm really excited to kind of see them go back to what they were when we were in college and like the.
I'm just
2010s.
excited for the whole SEC to just. It would be great to have all the SEC have 2 losses.
I don't know if you remember this, but back when we were in college in the 2010s or something like that, Georgia, their whole shtick was they were going to lose one fucking stinker every year that was going to keep them out. They were a great team, and they would just lose like fucking Vanderbilt. And it was always
Kentucky
just an absolute horrible team that they would lose to. And I kind of wish they would go back to that. Because that was always funny. It's like, it's just Georgia being Georgia.
I think it's going to kind of happen with this team.
I mean, eventually. College football is largely, outside of Alabama, cyclical. So.
Yep. Parody.
Parody.
Other results, Florida State eked one out at Clemson. People are like downplaying this because Clemson's not the Clemson of old. Death Valley is fucking hard to play in, man.
Well, here's the thing. I'm downplaying it a little bit because Dabo Swinney coached himself out of a win.
He did. Dabo Swinney.
He coached
100%.
himself out of a win there, boys. That was
you're right.
Horrible. I can't like off the top of my head, I can't even remember what exactly it was, but I was just like, I was texting Jamie during that game, just like, what the fuck is he doing?
I was like,
and
I don't know.
I am not that guy. Like, I am not like a coaching strategy dude in a lot of ways. Like play calling, I understand, but like clock management, not my thing, right? That's Jamie's bugaboo. That is not my bugaboo, right? Because I'm not good at it myself. I can't I don't understand a lot of the theory behind it. I get some of it, but I was just the entire time I was like, he's coaching himself out of a win here,
and he did
in a big way.
They should have won that game.
Well, they even with him coaching himself out of that win, they still should have won the game, but their kicker sucks.
Yep.
Ridiculous, man.
So Florida State remains unbeaten, looks to be in full charge of the ACC at the moment. The game of the week, Ohio State at Notre Dame. Old school defensive slugfest, this one was. Came down right to the wire, was very exciting. Last second touchdown. And then it came out that Notre Dame, the final 2 plays of that game, after a timeout, had 10 guys on the field. What the actual fuck?
That has second-year head coach written all over it, my guy.
Oh my god, dude!
Well,
How
did you hear
do
his
that?
his reasoning?
Yeah, he said we were trying to get a guy out there, but we couldn't call a timeout.
Yeah, after the
You called a timeout. You were coming
they
off
realized
of a timeout.
they realized they couldn't get him out there because of a substitution, and he's like, "I guess we'll just run this last-second goal line play with 10
They
dudes."
were on the 1.
Yeah,
Why couldn't take the penalty?
yeah,
Literally, the guy that was missing was right where that football ended up.
yep.
What the fuck? You can't do that.
Talk about coach yourself out of a win.
Oh my god, dude!
Yeah,
I can't
big
believe.
time.
Can you imagine being a Notre Dame faithful and seeing that? Oh, buddy.
Surprised they're not already calling for Marcus Freeman's head. They might be. I'm
Oh,
not on their
buddy.
subreddit.
I mean, luckily for Notre Dame, their schedule is actually somewhat difficult this year. And if you can pull off a win against USC, that team's still in the playoff.
Chris shaking his head. Chris don't think so?
No, I'm just shaking my head at the whole situation. I do think Notre Dame is still good. I agree with you on the Freeman thing, second-year head coach stuff. I'm just laughing at the okay, people are dogging Dan Lanning, but at least like his motivation was coming from like the team he was playing, right? Like it was from Dion and it was from the players doing their
talking
thing.
Ryan
pre-
Day?
You're talking about
The
Ryan
fact that
Day.
Ryan Day comes out and wants to go at freaking Lou Holtz, like
For
what?
what he said on
We're
game
going
day.
at Lou Holtz
Dude,
for saying this team's more physical than
This
the
team's
Ohio
more
State
physical
Buckeyes.
than
That's
Ohio
why I like
State.
Notre Dame so much. Like that's what you're gonna go. Lou Holtz going after Lou Holtz. Next thing you know,
Lou
they're
Holtz
gonna
is
start going
100.
after. They're gonna start going after
Basically in
Lee
his
Corso,
grave.
who's getting his scripts written for him because he can't even remember anything anymore. And Ryan Day, like, yeah, man, the fact that Lee Corso put on that Wolverine head on game day, that just really got me fired up. I'm proving to him that we're a physical team.
I'd like to have a conversation with him. I'd like
It
to have
just
a
cra-
conversation.
What cracks me up extra is these coaches go out and they say, "Yeah, we don't pay attention to that outside
all
noise. We
fucking
don't really pay
they
attention to
all
what you guys
bullshit.
write. You know, that's just outside noise. We try." Yeah, but you heard Lou Holtz, like again. At least with Dan Lanning, like the things he was hearing and reacting to were literally from the team he was playing, not a guy on a set who used to coach Notre Dame. Like what? Like, come on, man. Like
Also,
I get
like-
it. It's again. Coach speak, find your motivation wherever. But Lou Holtz? Who the hell is
Lou
Lou
Holtz-
Holtz?
Lou Holtz not only was like he was a coach for Notre Dame, the team they're playing, right? Obviously, he's going to pick Notre Dame. He is the most biased announcer I've ever seen. When he was on, what was it, like
History
Wake Up
of
College Football, whatever it was,
No, it was the college football extra. Or
College
whatever
Football
at the end
Extra.
of the night.
He picked Notre Dame every week when they were garbage. It's like he is the most biased motherfucker in the world, and he never tried to hide it.
Also,
Yes.
Ohio State should have lost that game.
Yeah,
Notre Dame cooked it.
yeah.
You should
Cougar
be thanking your fucking lucky stars, Ryan Day, because you should have lost that game.
did. Notre Dame is just a way better team than Ohio State.
Ugh.
It's my
Like,
Lou. It's my Lou.
it just cracks me up. It's just cool.
I guess.
Cool
man.
Ryan Day.
Cool Ryan
Cool.
Day. It gives me the same vibe. Have you ever seen that clip of there was like that dude who's getting kicked off a plane, and he's like, "I want to shake his
Yeah.
hand. I
Yeah.
want to shake your hand. I want like that."
Yeah.
Gave me that vibes the whole time. I was like, "This is gross."
It was cringy as fuck.
It was cringy as fuck.
All right. Let's go on to our top 25. We don't need to recap any of the other games because we'll probably talk about them in here. We don't need to go through every ranking, but for the viewer and listener, our top 25 we released on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook yesterday. And this was an aggregate result from my poll, Eli's poll, Chris's poll, and super producer Cameron's poll, who is absent today. Conveniently, he can't even
Can't back up his
defend
rankings.
or can't back up
Ironically,
his
his was
rankings.
by far the most chalk.
I was gonna say you can't back up copy and pasting the AP top 25. He's like
There
a
was
guy
like
that
four
copies off the
differences.
guy next to him during a test, but he's like, one of those answers I got to make a different answer so the teacher doesn't think I copied off of him.
I did. So, they all sent it to me, and I put it into Excel, and I did like standard deviations and stuff like that. Cameron was like 2 off of 8 people, while like Jamie, Chris, and I were all over the fucking joint. Like,
Cameron
the
flipped
amount of
Oregon
zeros
and
on
Washington.
Cameron's.
Let's see. Cameron flipped Oregon and Washington, Notre Dame and Alabama. He had Washington State higher. Other than that, it's pretty much chalk.
It's pretty funny.
Ours are all over the map, but it ended up with our consensus number 1 is Texas. And that is largely because Eli and I had them as the number 1 team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
This to me is pretty self-explanatory. They have the best win so far, and they've backed it up by that team looks legit. And I have question marks with Georgia, as I have alluded to.
Yes.
Number 2, we have Georgia. Obvious reasons, it's Georgia. I really wish we could find a way to do these rankings without having a name attached.
Right.
Like, I wish I could just look at the stats, look at the record and who they played, and make a ranking based off of that. Because I think if we did that, Georgia wouldn't even be in the top 25.
Maybe.
Now,
I mean, they're
you can't-
unbeaten, so
You
it's,
can, yeah, maybe, but they'd be down in the Miami, like 18,
Yeah,
15,
yeah.
somewhere range. I just like this team has not been impressive. It's Georgia. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt. I understand. I still had them at 5 in mine. I had them the lowest. Eli had them at 4. I just haven't seen it yet, and I want to see it. We have Michigan at 3. That defense is legitimately good.
it's very good. Again, they haven't, like we talked about the quadrant ranking, they really haven't played a quality opponent, and they're not really going to play a quality opponent in their schedule until they get
Until
to
Penn State.
And Ohio State. Those are basically the only 2 quality opponents they have on their schedule, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Their schedule is
Set
an
up for a
absolute
championship.
joke.
It's
Joke,
set up for a
joke.
playoff appearance.
They have Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan State, Purdue before they get to Penn State.
Oh. Oh.
Wow, that's a
And they just played Rutgers. They were literally playing the worst teams in the Big Ten.
Boy, must be nice.
boy howdy.
Must be nice. This will be Oregon next year in the West.
Yeah, true. At 4, we have Ohio State. Obviously, statement win for them. I have them as high as 2 in mine. Again, it's the second biggest win of the season.
Yep.
And that has to count. In my
And,
mind.
and like their defense showed me that, like, because like in years past, like the offense was the highlight and the defense was good but not great. This year, their defense is legitimately great.
Because that Notre Dame offense is also legitimately
very good, yeah.
and they shut them down.
Yep.
So that we have Ohio State at 4. 5 through 10 goes like this. It's Florida State, Oregon, Penn State, Washington, Utah, USC. USC is going to be the biggest outlier here, although they did fall to 8th in the AP. And having Oregon ahead of Washington is different than most, and Chris disagrees with us mightily in his rankings of those 2 teams. But again, I get it. Washington's really good, and we have to take some of what they did last year into account. I haven't seen it this year against a quality opponent. And until I do, I just can't put them up any higher. Chris, what say you? Since you got them at 4th.
I just think right now, all things considered, I think they like that. I know you don't like them. I just don't think they've shown a ton of flaws in their game. I know you picked apart earlier what you saw against Cal, all fair points, but in this current conference lineup, man, like second to Caleb Williams. I'm trusting Michael Penix to go get the job done. I like what they're doing. I also think like wherever we rank these teams right now is going to be irrelevant very, very soon, right? Like this is another situation. I know it's a cop out, but it's like I think if you put Oregon above Washington or vice versa, you're right, because like what do you have to stand on at this point? What sucks for Oregon in the argument about quality opponents, and you brought it up earlier with Texas Tech, is that's no barometer anymore, because I don't know if you noticed or paid attention, but Tyler Shucks got done. He's done for the year. He broke his leg against West Virginia, so if they're going to lose games. So when everyone goes, oh, that tough game against Texas Tech, who only ended up winning 3 games all year, like, yeah, they lost their starting quarterback early in the season. So things like that suck. But yeah, Washington of the 4 teams that we put in into the top 10 out of the Pac-12, and maybe it's because the rivalry, like Washington is the only one that legit sends a chill down my spine. Like that's going to be a tough game for the Ducks.
That game being in Husky Stadium is horrifying.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Yep.
Absolutely terrifying. There's no other way to put it. I am not looking forward to October 14th.
And if things continue as they are at this point, College Game Day better be there, because, boy.
It might be a top 5 matchup.
It might be.
Depending on how those teams do. USC being at 10, we've kind of talked about it. That defense is suspect at best.
Yeah, good thing they're
Caleb Williams
buoyed by Caleb Williams.
It's a good thing they have Caleb Williams.
So just the fucking most buoyant buoy in the NCAA right now.
Like, USC could beat anybody right now.
I hope he's got
in spite of their terrible defense.
I hope he's got a good chiropractor, because that's a lot of weight to be carrying on your shoulders.
Yeah, dude. All right, now we get into the kind of the next tier, if you will. We got Alabama, Notre Dame, Washington State, Oklahoma, and LSU as 11 through 15. Yeah.
The bottom half of these rankings to me is I was like going through it, and especially
it's kind of arbitrary.
It's a very arbitrary. It's kind of like, what really are we doing here? Like,
any other team in the top like 40 could legitimately end up in the top 25. And so once you get into this 16 through 25 range, it's like, who knows? UNC at 16, Duke 17, Miami, Oregon State, Ole Miss round out the top 20. And then we got Mizzou, Florida, Tennessee, Fresno State, and Kansas to round out the top 25.
Probably the best top 25 in the country right now.
It's not even arguable.
Yeah.
It's by far the
We're
best.
fucking good at this, guys. We're fucking good at this. Jamie and I are kind of tooting our horns a little bit. We've kind of nailed the Pac-12 so far. Outside of like Jamie really underestimating Washington State and me underestimating Colorado, we kind of fucking nailed it.
We did. We absolutely
so far.
did.
So far.
Yeah, so far. That could change.
Oh, wait, no, I wasn't invited in time for the Pac-12 preview. Don't know where I sit.
You weren't invited? No, sir. You were busy. Don't play a fucking victim here on our show. Don't come onto this goddamn show and play victim.
Hey, seriously, I thought we were in a relationship where you just didn't have the courage to break it off, so you just started ghosting them. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Have you even met us? We would just tell you to your face, be like, "Fuck you,
totally,
get off the show."
You're a bitch. Get out of here.
You totally would. No, I know for a fact I've been super busy. Like, I was at work this morning at 7, and then got home.
You barely made it for this.
Yeah, I got home
started
for
late.
like 30 minutes, and then left to go to do another thing for work. Yeah, I showed up at 8 o'clock. Yeah, you guys are wonderful. That's all I'm saying. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks for liking me.
All right, let's move to this week's matchups. We're going to start in the Pac-12, as we always do. This week starts on a Friday with the battle up in Corvallis between undefeated Utah and 19th ranked Oregon State, coming off their loss to Washington State. How do you see this one coming on?
I have different results on whether Cam Rising is playing or not. I think this defense has the potential to rip apart Nate Johnson. I don't think Nate Johnson is a terrible quarterback, but I think Oregon State's defense can rip him apart. So if Nate Johnson is starting, I'm going to go Oregon State. If Cam Rising is starting, I'm going to go Utah. I know we have like Russ to kick off, but it's fucking Cam Rising, dude. That dude is the picture and model of consistency.
I see this one as a virtual coin flip.
In Corvallis makes it a lot harder. If it was in Utah, it's Utah both ways.
If I'm going to go with the way that I have always gone with coin flip games, I'm going to go with the home team. The X factor here is Cam Rising, because while I don't think Oregon State is going to rip apart Nate Johnson, because that pass defense has clearly pretty suspect after giving up 400 yards to Cam Ward, Nate Johnson's not Cam Ward. He's not going to put up 400 yards. That said, I'm going to side with you, Eli. If Cam Rising's starting, I'm going to pick Utah. If he is not, I'm going to pick Oregon State.
Chris? No what ifs. I'm just going Oregon State in this one.
Right.
I like them at home. A bounce back from Washington State. What should be a sellout at Reser, which is I'm looking forward to seeing the completed Reser for the first time on Friday, being down there for the game.
I drove past it when I was out there a couple weeks ago, and it's a beautiful stadium now.
As
much as it kills me to say that, because I've always called it the high school stadium in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful stadium now.
Yeah, I saw it while I was under construction a few months back, so eager to get there. But again, as much as you think Cam Rising's play is the X factor, I actually think it's the other quarterback, because like Jamie said, you need to get a DJU that's completing more than 50% of his passes. And if
it's a tough defense to do that against.
Yeah, and if he's not controlling the ball, there's going to be pickoffs. There's going to be big defensive plays from Utah that just sap the momentum and the energy out of that stadium. If he's just smart with the ball, they can win. And the thing is, I know Utah's defense is good, but they're going to be able to pound Fenwick and Martinez. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. So then it's going to be DJU's job to make the play on his end, because he's got good receivers with, Silas Bolden and Josiah Irish and all that. And so, just make plays. It's going to be a battle. And the offensive line from Oregon State is no freaking joke, dude. And they're going to be tested. I think this is going to be a freaking barn burner of a football game.
I fully agree.
Their receivers are good, but they're little guys. They're little guys. They're itty-bitty guys. There's only one guy or two guys on the roster over 6 feet.
I'll start calling you Shiloh.
You're too little. I'll run right through you.
And then he's peeing blood after the game.
After the game. Also, get better to him.
This one's going to be must-see TV on Fox Sports 1 Friday night.
I agree. I think it's going to be a really fun game.
Yep. Saturday begins early for me, tailgating probably at 6:30 in the morning. Fox coming back and do a big noon kickoff in Boulder. Need to knock that shit off like right now. I'm fucking over 10 a.m. kickoffs. Tired of it. That being said, it is 9 a.m. West Coast time. It's nothing to walk at. It's early for college kids.
Yeah.
USC at Colorado is a 21.5 point line. I think Colorado covers. I think they lose. But I think this is going to be more of a game than the Colorado-Oregon game was, as we have alluded to multiple times.
Yep. I fully agree with that. We've talked about it. I think Colorado bounces back from a pretty embarrassing loss against Oregon. They are, Dion is like, you're gonna run till I throw up, kind of.
That both lines are. The unfortunate thing is the lines needed to pack on pounds, and they're probably emaciated this week.
Yeah,
from throwing up at practice.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, I think they have a bounce back week. USC doesn't have the pass pressure that Oregon can create. But I don't like the Buffs to win this, but I do like the Buffs to cover.
Chris?
Boy, that's going to be a good one.
At
And I
Folsom,
think
too.
between
It's
the
gonna be
battle, yeah, it's going to be another atmosphere like crazy.
Bowlers, you mean?
I
nuts,
definitely
man.
don't think. Yeah, I definitely don't think Colorado's going to get pushed around like they did against Oregon, just because Oregon's defense is worlds different than USC's right now. So, like I said earlier, first team to 50 might win this one. And if you get into a shootout, I am taking Caleb Williams all day long. So yeah, USC
Until he
wins
proves
one.
otherwise, 100%.
Yep.
The next game, schedule-wise, is Arizona State at Cal. I'm picking Cal.
I'm picking Cal.
I am picking Arizona State.
Are you doing that just to be different, or are you like actually picking them?
Jamie just read you like a book, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, but it wasn't like I was closed and had a cover on. You knew what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody's got to
Realistically.
lose, right?
Yeah, someone's got it.
Chris.
Cal is better. Cal's better. Two terrible teams, but again, Cal's actually looking like a football team. What I say last week, Jamie, they're not going to win a lot of games, but they're not an easy out, and I think they proved that against Washington. They made the mistakes that shot themselves in the foot, but then as Eli said, after those initial mistakes to start the game, played a pretty even football game the rest of the way. So I think it's probably going to be a close one for most of the game. The spread is Cal -12. I don't know about that. We'll see, but
That's tough.
they're going to win, I think.
Yeah,
Taking Cal realistically now that
the problem with Cal is their scoring offense, but Cal's defense is not. This is weird to say. Cal's defense is not USC's defense. I don't see Arizona State putting up those points again. That's wild thing to say. Just acknowledge how wild that is, and we're gonna move on to Oregon at Stanford. The Farm has been a house of horrors over the years for Oregon. That is going to come to a screeching halt. 42-6 was the score that Oregon put up last week. This one might be 62-0. If they play anything like they played on Saturday, this isn't even Stanford might as well just stay home.
Just forfeit.
That Stanford team's bad, and this Oregon team's ridiculous. So, much to Dan Lanning's point, if Oregon plays Oregon well, this game's over.
I agree with that. Oregon big.
Unfortunately for Stanford, David Shaw ain't walking through those doors.
God damn
Ducks
it.
big.
I should have known that was coming.
We really should have known that was coming.
Pac-12 After Dark. We got 3 Pac-12 network games this week, by the way. Unfortunately, mostly because those games are Stanford, Arizona State, and Arizona. We have Washington at Arizona to close out the night. Washington's only an 18-point favorite in this, and that seems low.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love Washington's defense right now. And, you know, like we've kind of alluded to in past episodes, or in this episode too, like nobody's like super easy out. Any of these top 10 quarterbacks in this league can rip you to shreds if you don't play a good game of ball. And so I don't hate that line. I think Washington will still cover on that, though.
I've got Washington by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington, obviously. High on them, but gosh, Arizona, there's an upward trend there. Like it's maybe good thing that the Pac-12 is dispersing and you're not going to have to deal with them. They've made some good strides in just about the last year and a half, but Washington goes and takes care of business. If they don't, I think that's the last thing the Pac wants right now. I want Washington stumble to be against Oregon, not Arizona, right? And ideally have them at one loss. This is going to be the year. You're going to get one-loss team in with an undefeated Pac-12 champion. The Pac's sending 2 teams to the college football playoff. Okay, it just needs to happen. I'm rooting for it. Okay, but yeah, they ain't stumbling against Arizona. Now, if it were Oregon in Arizona, my feeling might be a little bit different because of the ghosts of Arizona past. But Washington, they're going to be fine.
They knocked out our favorite cheerleader. Fuck those guys, man.
And Dennis
busted
Dixon.
an ACL.
Yeah, and they
broke Kellen Clement's ankle.
Although greatest comeback ever. when the Arizona students were like trying to rush the field, and Jeremiah Masoli was just laughing on the sideline, came in, game-winning touchdown.
Oh, I love that.
He tied it with the touchdown, and they had to push the students back into the seats. Nothing more satisfying than that.
So good, and then they lost.
But wasn't the
they threw it was Ed Dixon in the back of the end zone. Oh
yeah, it wasn't
the pushback into the pushback in. Oh, Arizona lost. Sorry, I was talking about Oregon. You said and they lost. Oregon did not lose.
That was the overtime game too, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ed Dixon in the back of the end zone.
That's right.
Yep.
So Danielle and I, my wife, for you listeners, we were at this bar in Springfield, right by our apartment. We had never been there before. We were just gonna go have dinner and watch the game because we didn't have cable at the apartment yet, and didn't know it. But this bar happened to hand out free mudslide shots every time the Ducks scored. By the end, they were just saying,
in those days, that's a lot.
So when that game went to overtime and like they couldn't give people shots as quick as they were pouring them. Oh, it was one of the most fun games I've ever watched.
Oh my god!
Sat in the bar just getting free mudslide shots all
That's
night.
Hilarious.
That game has one of the best play calls I've ever seen in my entire life. Was it 3rd and 12 or 4th and 12, and he ran the halfback draw to LaMichael James on that final game time.
Oh
drive.
yeah. I don't remember what. I think it was 3rd and 12.
I want to say it was 4th.
I don't remember, but
because I was jaw on the floor, like what did I just see? Because if that fails, like you're the dumbest coach of all time. But if it worked, and he ran for like 35 yards or some shit, because he's LaMichael James.
Total side note, just like you can go find these games on YouTube and stuff if you want, and but they're just like shit quality because someone had to find a way to record them and upload them. Dude, these college football, the NBA, the NFL would make just a fucking killing if you could pay for an archive that you could just go in and type in Arizona, Oregon 2009 and get the full high def broadcast of the game at your fingertips.
Don't tease me, Chris. Don't tease me.
Hey, you guys got me onto this, and credit to you. I'm telling you, the American sports leagues need to take a page out of the F1 book because I paid for the F1 subscription for the year at the beginning of the season, and now I'm like, holy crap, I can go back and watch full seasons from like 15 years ago, and not just the race, like the driver cam still and everything. Oh my gosh, if every other sport did what F1 does, they would make a killing in this country.
Mm-hmm. I would, dude. I just watch Mariota tape all day long.
I would literally sleep to it. It would be on it like every night.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Anyway,
let's talk briefly about other key matchups. Since we did do our top 25, Georgia has their first test at Auburn. I think they'd take care of business here, but this is if we're talking about benchmark games. If Georgia wants to be back to number 1 or even in my top 4 compared to you guys, I need to see something out of this game from them.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I always like Auburn for one game where they have no business winning it, but they win it anyway. I don't think that's this game, though. I think Georgia's going to come out and be like, we have something to prove this week. And Kirby Smart's an incredible coach. Agreed. You know he's drilling that into him. Like, people don't believe in us this year. The Just Two Fans podcast is having us at 4, guys. We got to prove them wrong. And so I think they come out and take care of business.
We have them at 2, but yes.
Oh, 2.
Yeah,
sorry.
We're talking about Kirby Smart, not Ryan Day. But,
Yeah.
That would be great. Post-game, Aaron Andrews. What do you have to say about this win, Kirby? Yeah. Eli Johnson, how do you like us now?
How do you like me now?
Yeah.
Just Two
They
Fans
didn't believe in
podcast.
us.
I would fucking love that, dude. Oh my god, that'd be so
Right.
much publicity for us. I'd love that.
Yeah, Georgia wins.
Speaking of another team that has not been tested yet going on the road in conference, we've got Michigan at Nebraska. Should be no problem for Michigan if they're a playoff team.
Yeah. Here's the thing. And I'm forgetting his name right now, but the quarterback for Nebraska, what's his name?
I think they've changed. It's
About time.
Heinrich Harburg.
Regardless, since that guy wasn't the starter, I can't imagine he's that much better. But the
He's a
Michigan D
freshman.
is gonna rip
Eat
him up, I think.
Nebraska for lunch.
Yeah, so I think this is gonna be a blowout. What's the
Agreed.
line?
Michigan by 17.
Michigan covers.
I probably
Chris?
agree with that. It would be real nice for Colorado if Nebraska happened to win this one, though.
It would.
And Oregon. It boosts Oregon also.
Yep.
Just saying. Kansas
Wait,
at...
Chris gets to pick, right?
Oh, yeah, Chris.
Chris is on the show now too.
He's going to pick Nebraska because he wants to be different.
No,
Yeah,
he's not.
Built
definitely not Nebraska. Is Arizona
Different.
maybe pulling the upset? Somebody could believe. Like Sun Devil fan, be like, yeah, I could see that. If I picked Nebraska, even Nebraska fan would be like, dude, this guy's a moron. He thinks our team can win this game?
Agreed. Kansas at Texas. Can Texas keep it rolling against an undefeated Kansas team?
I really like what Quinn Ewers is doing this year. He looks real fucking good. He looked really good last year too, before he got hurt. Oh yeah, I got Texas in this one.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
Texas.
Texas
big.
easy. Texas easy.
They're back.
I think the game.
actually think they
Oh
are.
nope. There's a couple of decent games here. We've got LSU at Ole Miss, battle of the one-loss SEC teams.
I got Ole Miss in this. I
do too.
still don't buy LSU.
My rankings would prove that I buy them even less than you do. So
Yeah.
yes, I agree. Ole Miss.
I got
Chris?
LSU in this one. I don't necessarily buy them. I just don't buy Old Miss to not lose games they shouldn't lose. Like that's
It is Lane
It's
fair.
just
Kiffin.
how it.
That is
It's just
fair.
how it goes.
Yeah.
It's one thing about the SEC to me. When you get these games, there's always this one game that's like, yep, that team should win, and then they just bungle it. So, like, yes, they're ranked lower. That is Ole Miss, but the way they played, I think they're the better team, which is why I'm going LSU because it just feels like one of those games to me.
It kind of does, but I'm
does.
still sticking with Ole Miss, and I really don't like Brian Kelly at
don't
all.
either.
I think he's one of the cringiest coaches on the planet.
Super cringy, and I think he's an overrated coach in general.
Yep. We've been on that track since he was at Notre Dame, though. Speaking of Notre Dame, can they bounce back on the road against a surprising Duke team?
Yes.
Line is 5.5. I think they cover. I think Notre Dame bounces back in a big way.
Don't get me wrong, Duke is a good team. I really
Yeah.
like what Duke has done this year. But I think just Notre Dame, I think, is better at pretty much every matchup. So they should win this.
Yep.
So I'm
Agreed.
going to go with them. And I'm going to have them cover, obviously.
I mean, ever since Zion left, Duke's a football school now, right? They're so dedicated to football that they took the track out of the football stadium, right? They're like, oh, we gotta dedicate this to football now. I mean, I like what they're trying to do, but at the same time, they beat a top 10 preseason ranked Clemson, and we all know that was a farce. And then Lafayette, Northwestern, and UConn. So if we want to keep continuing to talk about teams who haven't been tested, Duke has not been tested. So yeah, I'm taking Notre Dame to get the taste of that loss out of their mouth. And I do think it would just be smart, right, for Notre Dame to come out very first play of the game, take the flag for 12 men on the field, just to realize that you've learned your lesson, like you understand, like we overcorrected. Now we should have 11 the rest of the way. Just be smart.
Yeah, that'd be fucking hilarious.
Do they
And
have
if
to
there's
do
a coach that
for
would
the
do it,
first
it's
two
Marcus
plays?
Freeman.
Yeah, first 2 plays has to be twice.
It's either going to be it's either Marcus Freeman or Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly would 100% do that.
right. So I'm down for that level of heady and
I think it'd
comedy.
be fucking
like
hilarious.
remember when remember it's now like the meme, but San Antonio versus Phoenix, and Pop went with the hack-a-Shaq right after the tip, and Shaq looks over and Pop is just giving him the thumbs up,
Yeah.
like as a joke. Like that would be funny. Just go take a 12 man on the field. Oh, it'd be great.
I want that to happen so bad now.
It won't, but
It won't at all, but that would be fantastic. All right. That's this week in college football. Any other games you guys want to talk about before I wrap this puppy up?
no, man. I love
Cool. Eli, since you bailed on us last week, I'm going to give you the buzzer
it.
beater.
On us.
Listener and viewer, thank you for tuning in and interacting with us. For those of you that did, we really enjoy that. So please do more of it because it's a lot of fun for us. Thank you to Zeta June for giving us our music for the outro. Normally, thank you to Cameron for being the man behind the glass, but you bailed on us also this week. So boo on you. Chris, pleasure having you back, buddy. Always a good time.
Pleasure being here.
Eli, please take us away.
My buzzer beater is I fucking love college football so goddamn much.